The digital destruction will continue until morale improves. Or until these large media companies are finally happy destroying every trace of production from the last 20 years or so, simply because it existed on a platform they no longer want to financially support. 20 years of Comedy Central episodes, including countless clips and interviews from The Daily Show, as well as the entirety of the MTV News archive, have been expunged without warning in what has become an all too common occurrence in recent years as entertainment companies, in particular, free up what they clearly see as digital clutter from the greater internet. Hopefully everyone has all those DVD copies buried somewhere, and of course, all those PDF versions printed out of their favorite programs and articles, because, I mean, you just can't count on anything existing after it's been deemed unmonetizable by the consistently shrinking numbers of companies that own it.
You don't understand. We had ridiculousness episodes that we needed to store on our servers.
Yeah.
And that space was being taken up by MTV News and The Daily Show and The Colbert Report. I don't know what the fuck that is. All I know is Rob Dyrdek's ridiculousness. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be a lot more where that came from. Check your local listings.
Take a look at our programming block. There is simply no room for anything else.
You're going to look at that TV guide and be like, wow, this is ridiculous. And I'm like, yes, it is. It's ridiculousness.
And that's why it works. The marketing's great, isn't it, folks?
Also, hi. We will probably have a few clips from the first presidential debate of this election year. First of, hopefully not too many.
Yeah, but they're doing the debates literally after we film this episode, so that's why we'll have to put
late night debates. We're going to see who sundowns first.
Yeah, luckily two young, spry politicians ready to get out there at 9 p.m. on the East Coast and give each other the what for. So we'll have maybe some clips.
We haven't seen it yet. Yeah. By the time this video's up, it will be over. But in the interim, in the negative zone period between recording and upload, we will put some clips in the episode for you to enjoy, as well as some updates to stories that we've been covering recently that we will cover in the episode.
Yeah.
But first, let's get back to the issue of media conglomerates hitting the delete button on significant portions of media history, despite the thousands of hours of real work that humans put into that story. Gosh, I sure am glad nothing like that has ever happened personally to me. Oh wait, it has.
And everyone we know.
Now, if you're wondering why this sucks so bad or why it matters that a bunch of old content has been removed, it's simple. Using MTV News and The Daily Show as specific examples, they provided everyone with an accessible and sourceable archive that could be easily accessed and referenced. Just because some articles or clips might be not so relevant today doesn't mean that there weren't countless pieces of journalism amidst real-world consequential events that have now been deleted from existence. Unless you want to go through a convoluted research process involving like internet archives and torrent rips and bootleg rips and now defunct hyperlinks.
Yeah,
it just got a lot harder.
And yeah, as we're going to get to people who worked on the MTV News site, their biggest frustration, aside from having their work deleted, which we can all kind of feel, anyone that's worked in the digital space knows how that feeling is. But you have musical artists who obviously started out as essentially nobodies, and MTV News was covering and interviewing them and following the progress. And now you have people that are superstars now, where all of this historical context has been literally fucking deleted.
Yeah. I feel like, we need like a Library of Congress for more shit.
They need to step in and get with the times, because there's a lot of shit that's happened in the past 20 years that deserves to be archived, and it's like no one fucking gives a shit because it was on the internet.
I mean, this is very reminiscent of like the BBC up until like the 90s just like didn't do shit to archive. They'd be like, all right, we're out of tapes. What's that one?
Just tape over it.
They literally taped over like the first like 10 seasons of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Like there's there's entire missing sections of one of the most popular shows in the world.
Well, sorry, there's only so many tapes.
Anyways, in addition to all that, there is an absolute nightmare here if you're on the creative side of things, because years of your work that you could easily use for your resume no longer exist. Sure, your work history is the same, but being able to just, link something that you did to someone to show them that you did it, it just became next to impossible for a lot of people. And having lived through this exact scenario ourselves, it legitimately feels like a punch to the gut when thousands of hours of work just suddenly disappears.
Poof.
Not that what we created back in the machinima days was high art or hard-hitting journalism. Far from it, actually.
Yeah.
But the feeling is still there. Those were years of our lives.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's nice to just look back at it sometimes. You know, luckily, a lot of it has been saved, but
Yeah.
it's still, it's not where it used to be.
Yeah.
But luckily, yeah, a bunch of you freaks archived a good amount of our stuff, so that's cool. But you can't always count on that, especially when companies make these bold moves, seemingly at the drop of a hat. There were more casualties to the Viacom Paramount purge, but we're going to focus on two of their brands, MTV News and Comedy Central, both of which lost large chunks of their very existence this week, especially MTV News, which simply doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So here's a selection of a recent article that ran in Variety, written by former MTV News producer Michael Alex, who joined the network back in the 1980s.
25 years of entertainment history, as reported by MTV News, disappeared from the internet a few days ago when its parent company, Paramount, removed the site's archives, along with those of CMT and other outlets, without warning, explanation, or comment. What was an invaluable resource for music fans, journalists, cultural ambassadors, and millions of people who loved music is simply gone. The archive was no simple repository of old articles. It always was intended to be a playground for fans who wanted to dig deep and learn more. As a team of music nerds ourselves, we expected the archive to be popular. And within a year, we had as many people reading old news articles as we had reading the news of the day. And he then goes into specifics, using a weekly series called Mixtape Monday as an example of what was lost and why it's a real fucking shame to have lost it.
Of the many concerns I've heard from people in the days since the archive was taken down, the long-running hip-hop column Mixtape Monday has been particularly cited. This weekly series of lengthy, in-depth reports featuring so many unsigned hip-hop artists who went on to become stars or superstars contains the evolution of the artists and the genre in a way that is not documented anywhere else. Last week, it vanished. For how long? Whether one liked it or not, MTV was a unique cultural force, and MTV News went far beyond the music world, into Hollywood, on presidential campaign trails, to war zones and disaster areas, to the United Nations, and more. Where are all those stories now? I'm also mindful of the hundreds of journalists who made MTV News what it was and are cut off from a major portion of their career. Countless articles they spent countless hours reporting and writing. And yeah, hard to overstate the fact that a reference guide to multiple decades of history, specifically music history, but just even more broad
broadly,
than
yeah.
that, was just quietly removed from the public without warning.
Over on the Comedy Central side of things, The Daily Show lost its entire clip archive, spanning over 2 decades. I think they have everything from 2016 onward, or at least some of it, but just 2 decades of stuff just gone.
So we kept all the Trevor Noah stuff for all you Trevor heads out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything before that, who cares? Get rid of it. All the, like, literally the start of, like, so many careers.
People that are massive,
Yeah.
massive celebrities or writers or award-winning performers. Or,
you go back and look at, like, Daily Show casts from, like, the early 2000s. You're like, what the fuck? This
all
is
the names are
crazy.
here, yeah. So here's from the Hollywood Reporter on this side of things. The sites for Comedy Central and fellow Paramount-owned cable channels CMT, Paramount Network, and TV Land were largely stripped of content this week. What's left mostly redirects users to the company's streaming platform, Paramount+. Paramount, which is looking to cut $500 million in costs amid declining profits, said the gutting of the sites was part of broader website changes across the company.
How much was that server space costing?
I can't imagine. Like, these videos, for the most part, are like capped at like 480p.
Yeah,
and
like
MTV articles are nothing. They are
it's text.
They're bytes
You
of
could
data.
fit the whole fucking thing on a thumb drive.
Yeah.
Anyway, referencing Comedy Central in particular, the author adds, Comedy Central's website previously hosted a huge archive of episodes and clips covering most of the show's history, along with fellow late-night shows At Midnight, The Colbert Report, The Nightly Show, and The Opposition with Jordan Klepper. That archive is now gone. Some material is on YouTube, but The Daily Show's channel there, for instance, doesn't have any material from before 2016.
Quote, gotta bring back the bootleg DVD, man. Former Daily Show correspondent Roy Wood Jr. wrote on X, this shit ain't right. Doug Herzog, who headed Comedy Central when The Daily Show launched, reposted Wood's statement in an Instagram story and added a facepalm emoji to a screenshot of a news item about Paramount's gutting of the website. On social network Blue Sky, Daily Show writer and producer Daniel Radosh noted that the show's staff would regularly use the clip archive on the website. Hey, for extra fun, guess what was the only way for people who still work at the show to find old clips that are important to have in the course of producing said show? He wrote, Yeah, I could see how that would be a very useful resource.
Yeah, because otherwise you got to go down to the basement and like rummage through some fucking
If that even fucking exists.
some digibeta tapes. Yeah, if that even exists.
Yeah. So there you go. I mean, it's just another in a very long and growing list of digital content archives just vanishing, just going poof.
Yeah, that is the way of the world now. We are in a bit of a great reset in that way, or just entire bodies of work, particularly for people of our generation.
It is our generation's entire production.
Like our
it
friend,
is the 2000 to 2010, 2010 to 2020. That entire era is. You have no idea if anything produced for any company will ever exist.
Like our friend Jules, who does the TikTok show Good Morning Bad News, he's like, I worked at Now This News for like 8 years and produced like hundreds of videos.
Just gone.
And then
just gone. My entire, professional career, gone.
Like, it's crazy. It's cruel.
Everyone that I've talked to that is in our age group or professional kind of industry, this has happened to them.
Yeah, I mean,
I know we're in a bubble or whatever because we're not in the entertainment industry, but kind of. But we know people who have worked through what we've done and in those kind of industries and companies. And you are hard pressed to find someone who hasn't had this happen to them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you should just be backing that shit up yourself.
Multiple hard drives
you go along,
on your own, yeah.
Which might be in violation of company policy, depending on where
Especially if you're getting it directly from your company. It probably has your watermark on it and shit like that. But
speaking of someone who wreaks havoc at the click of a button.
Oh, God.
Oh, no. Libs of TikTok. They're now being directly referenced in a defense attorney's memo because their client admits to being radicalized by the Libs of TikTok account.
Are you shocked? We aren't.
I'm not. You can tell by my face. This is not actually.
Well, for the podcast listeners, Elliot, who listen to the audio-only version,
completely neutral face. Anyway, you'll probably remember when there was a massive string of threats being called into schools and hospitals in what amounts to stochastic terrorism because Libs of TikTok was targeting these locations over things like gender-affirming care or simply just mentioning that LGBTQ people exist. No. One case in particular centered around a woman named Catherine Levy, who has since pleaded guilty to making a bomb threat to the Boston Children's Hospital. And the attorney for Catherine Levy is now asking for leniency and directly cites the Libs of TikTok account as the source of their client's radicalization. Now first, let's quickly go back to what was playing out at the time, and then we'll get to the legal filing. So here's NPR from back in 2022.
Hospitals and doctors around the country are facing harassment and even death threats over the medical care they offer to transgender kids. In many cases, they have been the subject of posts by a Twitter account called Libs of TikTok, as well as stories in conservative media outlets casting gender-affirming care as child abuse and mutilation. Children's hospitals in Boston, Seattle, Chicago, and Portland, Oregon have also been targeted. Last week, Boston Children's Hospital warned it was receiving a large volume of hostile internet activity, phone calls, and harassing emails, including threats of violence toward our clinicians and staff, after false claims that it performed genital surgeries on minors. And for reference, these were sparked in large part thanks to video and audio recordings intentionally taken out of context or statements that were completely fabricated. From the article, Children's National Hospital in Washington, D.C. became the most recent target this week when Libs of TikTok posted an audio recording in which hospital staff appeared to say that gender-affirming hysterectomies had been performed on minors. The hospital said that claim was incorrect and that none of the people recorded deliver care to patients. Quote, "The information in the recording is not accurate. We do not and have never performed gender-affirming hysterectomies for anyone under the age of 18, Children's National said in a statement to NPR. The operator speaking provided wrong information.
Cool. So back to the specific case involving the Boston Children's Hospital. Catherine Levy eventually admitted that she was the one behind that specific threat. And here's some info from late last year when she originally entered her guilty plea from local Boston outlet NBC 10. The U.S. Attorney's Office said 37-year-old Catherine Levy of Westfield, Massachusetts, pled guilty to one count of making a false bomb threat and one count of intentionally conveying false or misleading information. The charges stem from a threat phoned on August 30th, 2022 that sent a wave of first responders to the hospital and forced the building into lockdown. After law enforcement determined there were no explosive devices on site, they began the work of tracking down the person responsible. Levy was identified when the phone number used to make the threat came back in her name. Great job. Investigators said Levy admitted to making the threatening call, but said she never planned to actually bomb the building.
The Dr. Disrespect excuse.
She also expressed disapproval of the hospital.
Oh, by the way, can you put in there at the end that I still disapprove of the hospital?
I wasn't going to bomb them, but yeah, let me know, let the people know.
That I could have.
I don't like them. They suck.
Now, though, her defense attorney is trying to get their client a bit of leniency and points directly to the Libs of TikTok account as one of the main inspirations for their client's behavior. Now, here's a copy of the transcripts posted by journalist Ari Drennan. Levy's worsening symptoms and increased paranoia and anxiety made her increasingly vulnerable to the toxic and manipulative online conspiracy theory rhetoric. Her continued isolation and obsessively paranoid internet surfing led her down into the dark recesses of online misinformation and straight into the dangerous and hateful disinformation espoused by the Libs of TikTok Twitter account and echoed online by other misinformation social media accounts, all of whom instigated and spread, quote, an orchestrated campaign of disinformation to threaten and intimidate the Children's Hospital and its doctors and staff from providing gender-affirming care. In posting such manipulative, hateful misinformation against Boston Children's Hospital, the instigators of the disinformation campaign against Boston Children's Hospital sought to prey upon and mislead vulnerable people into believing their lies. Catherine was, unfortunately, one of those people.
She got radicalized. She's just a 37-year-old minor, and she has a very lot of neuroplasticity going on.
Yes.
She sees posts online, and she's like, I gotta bomb the hospital.
Yeah.
She's impulsive. Her hormones are making her do things that you wouldn't normally do.
And Libs of TikTok is preying on that.
Yeah, so speaking of weirdos being radicalized and attempting to commit acts of violence, we got some more gamer news for you. And no, this does not involve Dr. Disrespect, though we may add a slight update regarding his status in a second, because that
it keeps
double,
evolving.
triple, quadruple confirmed. No, this next story is just your classic tale of a gamer being competitive, gamer getting mad, gamer taking his anger offline, gamer traveling across the entire country, and gamer showing up at someone's home to actually fucking attack them in person.
Yeah, just standard gamer behavior.
Yep, it's gamer time. And that's what happened recently when a guy from New Jersey flew down to Florida to confront and attempt to kill another gamer who pissed him off. It's gamer on gamer violence.
You hate to see it.
Here's ABC News with more.
A New Jersey man faces an attempted murder charge after allegedly flying to Florida and attacking a fellow gamer with a hammer over an online dispute, authorities said. The two had never met in person before the suspect showed up at the victim's home in Fernandina Beach over the weekend, apparently to confront the victim, Nassau County Sheriff Bill Leeper said during a press briefing on Monday announcing charges in the case. The incident is believed to have originated from an online altercation, Leeper said, calling the case a weird one. The suspect, Edward Kang, 20, allegedly gained entry into the victim's home through an unlocked door and, wearing all black clothes, gloves, and a mask, attacked him with a hammer when the victim got up from gaming to use the bathroom late Saturday or early Sunday, according to Leeper. Oh, sorry, chat. I gotta go for a little bio break. Oh my God, what the fuck?
Yeah, wow.
Also, I agree. I forget who said this online, but like, the term bio break is more disgusting than saying you're going for a piss.
I've actually never heard this. Is this something streamers say?
This is a streamer term. And I believe it. I agree that it is more disgusting than just saying, I'm gonna go take a piss.
I gotta go take a shit.
Yeah, or that. Saying bio break is fucking...
Gotta go let her rip. Gotta drop the kids off at the pool. Yeah, bio break?
Ugh. But no, this is actually fucking terrifying. And this dude deserves to get locked up for real. I mean, this is fucked up antisocial behavior.
Yeah.
But the reporting continues.
The victim, who is believed to be around the same age as Kang, was able to wrestle his assailant to the ground, Leeper said. He and his stepfather, who was woken up by screams for help, were able to disarm the suspect and restrain him until deputies arrived, Leeper said. The victim sustained severe head wounds during the assault, the sheriff said. The victim has since been released from a hospital, he said. Kang was booked into the Nassau County Jail on Sunday and charged with attempted second-degree murder and armed burglary. It is unclear if he has an attorney. When asked about a motive in the assault, Kang allegedly told deputies that the victim is a bad person online. He also allegedly asked how much jail time you received for breaking and entering an assault, according to Mr. Leeper. I would say, Mr. Kang, it will be a long time before you play video games, Leeper said.
This is the most boomer sheriff ever. Well, I could tell you right now, you're going to be grounded without access to those
By the time you get out,
games.
there's going to be a PlayStation 8 by then.
You're never going to touch that Nintendo again. And then the gamer he jumped across the table. No, I'm a PC gamer. Don't you dare.
The victim and suspect allegedly knew each other from the online video. Yeah, I was wondering this.
Yeah.
Arc Age? What the fuck is Arc Age? Archie Age? Is this,
It's
Archie?
definitely not a Nintendo game, Elliot.
Yeah,
If you say
no.
that, you're going to get hurt.
It's not a Nintendo.
No.
The Korean massively multiplayer online role-playing game will no longer be accessible in the United States as of Thursday, its publisher announced in April, citing the declining number of active players.
And they just lost 2 more.
Yeah. Wow. This guy was really trying to go out with a bang.
Yeah.
I've hated this fucker. He's always on my servers.
And now I'm about to lose my only contact with him.
Yeah.
I got to get
Jesus.
him riled up one last time.
I would not have guessed an MMO. I would have guessed a shooter, but no, actually the MMO does make more sense because, yeah, you do encounter a lot of the same people, especially the more niche it is.
Yeah, and I don't understand like what issue could have popped up in this. I don't know how this game works at all, but they're very upset. And unfortunately for the victim in this assault, they only had to wait like a week or 2 before the game was taken completely offline. Ugh. Anyways, in other gaming news, professional gamers of a totally different caliber are already attempting to break the rules at this year's Olympic Games. Luckily, these rules are not based on any actual competition. It's just something that...
Are they doing blood doping?
No.
You're not allowed to do that.
No, no blood boys allowed. Okay, so you see, France has this whole environmental responsibility thing that they're really trying to make into a success story. And one of the ways to make sure that they are reducing their carbon emissions during this summer's Olympics is to reduce the need for air conditioning inside Olympic Village.
Oh, no.
By instead using a system of water-cooled pipes that flow beneath the floors of the living quarters.
Okay.
Now, back in March, the mayor of Paris, Anne Hidalgo, yes,
Get in the river, Anne.
the same woman who said she'd swim in the contaminated waters of the Seine River
Start swimming.
to prove that it's safe, that Anne Hidalgo said, this village was designed to avoid the need for air conditioning, even in very, very high temperatures in order to maintain comfortable temperatures. Which, like, if that works,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
That would be cool.
It is definitely an incredible step in the right direction. I know that, like, especially in Paris, if you just dig down a little bit, it gets cold. They got plenty of limestone down there to insulate things.
Yeah. When I said this is gay, it's Pride Month, so I was actually saying it's great.
Yeah.
And I respect it.
Unfortunately for the French, the Americans are coming. We like a certain level of comfort.
Yeah.
And the Americans, they're not alone. They're forming an alliance with other countries. And buddy, we're all bringing as many AC units as we can hold.
I hope they're bringing ice makers too, because they don't serve that shit over there. They give you one little ice cube.
Yeah.
Dink.
They look at you weird if you ask for
Yeah.
ice in your drink.
Yeah.
I think mostly it's because, especially in places like France, they're like, why would you want a disgusting ice cube that's been like in our trays when we're serving this delicious, pure water?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the reasoning behind it, but they do not. They're very stingy with that ice.
Yeah, well, the Americans, as well as some other countries, they are saying, fuck the climate, and they are bringing AC units with them. Climate goals be damned. Here's the Associated Press.
The U.S. Olympic team is one of a handful that will supply air conditioners for their athletes at the Paris Games in a move that undercuts organizers' plans to cut carbon emissions. U.S. Olympic and Paralympic CEO Sarah Hirshland said Friday that while the U.S. team appreciates efforts aimed at sustainability, no thanks. The federation would be supplying AC units for what is typically the largest contingent of athletes at the Summer Games. As you can imagine, this is a period of time in which consistency and predictability is critical for Team USA's performance, Hirshland said. In our conversations with athletes, this was a very high priority and something that the athletes felt was a critical component in their performance capability. The Washington Post reported earlier this month that Germany, Australia, Italy, Canada, and Britain were among the other countries with plans to bring air conditioners to France. Damn.
Yeah, they don't. No one gives a fuck about these climate goals. Sorry.
It's gonna be hot.
I do. I care about them, but clearly no one else does.
Yeah.
I love the quote. That quote is just
We
so
appreciate
telling.
what
Look,
they're trying to do here, but we are not going to help in any way. In fact, we're going to work against
We're
it.
going to make things worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like we said, they plan to cool the rooms anyway with an emissions-free option. But apparently that is not good enough for a whole handful of countries. And what makes this even more egregious is the fact that it is, on average, not even that hot during the games, specifically where these games are taking place, at least compared to your average day here in the United States.
France in the summer, usually pretty mild. I've been there. I've been unlucky enough that pretty much every time I've visited France in the summer, it's been during a continental heat wave.
Yeah.
And that's not fun.
But of course it is dumb to brag about how hellishly hot it is here and elsewhere, especially when the British or the French are complaining about temperatures that seem, by our standards, just a little lukewarm. But it's not as if they are housing these athletes in literal saunas. The report continues, the average high in Paris on August 1st is 26 degrees Celsius, 79 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, that's a nice day.
The objective is to keep the rooms between 23 and 26 degrees, or 73 and 79 degrees Fahrenheit. The rooms will also be equipped with fans. Quote, I want the Paris Games to be exemplary from an environmental point of view, Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo has said about the plans for the Olympics.
Okay, but get swimming, Anne. Let's see.
Get
Let's
in
see
that
backstroke.
There's one surefire way to cool down right now.
Yeah.
By getting in that water.
The river's right there. Mm-hmm. And it's nice and refreshing.
And it smells good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But personally, I think 73 to 79 is fine.
Yeah, that's ideal. I'm fighting for temperatures like that every day from morning to midnight, basically, in my office that faces the sun somehow every hour of the day.
Anyways, soon enough, outside sports won't be able to exist anyway, so you might as well enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Yeah. So,
we're going to be doing the Olympics down in caves.
That would be the other option. That's why Abu Dhabi and Dubai are building underground cities.
Yes.
Yes, to escape the heat.
Troglodytes. Speaking of the Olympics doing some weird shit, it appears as though NBC will be needlessly utilizing AI voices and AI commentary during this year's games, because at this point it is abundantly clear that every major company is doing the busy work of finding a problem for the solution that no one asked for. Mm-hmm. So in this scenario, they do have permission from the person that the AI will be lifting their data and voice from. It's Al Michaels.
Yeah.
Which only makes the decision slightly better because I don't know, why not just hire the guy? He's very much alive. Just have him do the actual commentary. But yeah, he is pretty old at this point. Maybe he doesn't want to actually cover the entire Olympics, and hey, he gets paid for doing nothing.
Yeah, more power to him, I guess.
Still, why not start incubating a ton of new, very real, talented sports commentators so they can have this incredible experience under their belts, which could help them become solidified in their roles, the same way that Al Michaels has.
Yeah.
This is something we brought up a lot with AI, voice acting, all that stuff. It's just like, okay, well,
you'll never get another Walter Cronkite if you just have AI Walter Cronkite.
There's no room for advancement.
Yeah.
And yes.
If you just have AI Al Michaels, you don't need, in their view, you don't need to have new actual human employees.
Yeah. Also, it's not lost on us that writing out his name in standard text also reads as AI Michaels.
It's the perfect crime.
So I guess this all makes sense. Anyway, with more on AI Al Michaels, here's Business Insider.
The AI version of Michaels will create the daily recaps available on Peacock, NBC's streaming service. Michaels told Vanity Fair that he was initially very skeptical about the idea when NBC's top brass approached him about it.
But then they pulled out a briefcase and they opened it up.
They backed up this Brinks truck to my house.
And I was like, okay, whatever.
But he was convinced once he heard his artificial voice.
I'm sure that's when he was convinced.
Yeah, like we just alluded to, in our opinion, he was also probably very convinced once he saw the check that they're writing for him to do little more than just give them the thumbs up to go ahead with his likeness. But back to the article. Frankly, it was astonishing. It was amazing, Michaels, 79, told Vanity Fair, and it was a little bit frightening. It was not only close, it was almost 2% off perfect, Michaels told Vanity Fair. It sounded like what I might say in certain situations. NBC said in a press release that the AI would provide fans with their own customized playlist featuring highlights of the events most relevant to them from the previous day. Each compilation will feature clips from NBCU's Olympics coverage and be narrated by a high-quality AI recreation of Michael's voice, which was trained using his past appearances on NBC and matches his signature expertise and elocution, NBC said. Some did not have enthusiastic responses. Filmmaker and actor Justine Bateman shared a screenshot of the news about Michaels and tagged NBC Sports in a post on X, writing, "This is gross." Others on X pointed out that Michaels is, quote, still very much alive, questioning the need for an AI version of him. Just another step, an unstoppable step towards AI consuming things. And that's what...
It's weird how the idea... You never hear about replacing CEOs with AI.
Yeah, it's very strange.
It's weird how that's like the one job.
But someone on Twitter called out when I was talking about the Apple AI stuff and like, why I care that they're doing this. And it's just that I don't like this constantly creeping into my life in ways that are still, somewhat avoidable. Like, I can avoid this, obviously, but it's chipping away at things. It's doing work against the things that I actually enjoy.
I would honestly respect it more if the voice literally sounded like a fucking robot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I don't think, like, this is a man known for, being very sharp and insightful about sports. And you're not getting that. You're getting his voice probably just explaining basic observations and facts about what you're seeing. And it's like, okay, well.
They're absolutely going to promote this as it being entirely produced by AI, meaning the commentary writing and as well as his voice, which writers who just participated in that strike should be very upset about, first of all. But second of all, guaranteed behind the scenes, they have some human fixing up everything that the AI fucks up.
Yeah. Anyways, over on to the doctor disrespect update side of everything.
Yeah.
This story is constantly evolving, with new information being released and more people, including employees from these companies, coming forward. And one of the best, most updated pieces about all of this came from none other than Slasher himself, aka Rod Breslau, who co-wrote an article that was published on Thursday in Rolling Stone. Now, it features a lot of discussion around what exactly Guy Beam was doing, as well as a few other things that only recently came to light after the initial reason behind the ban leaked from another former Twitch employee. It's very detailed, and it also provides a legitimate summary of all of the events and how they have or haven't played out over the past 4 or 5 years and 4 or 5 days. Yeah. So we will link that in the description below so you can read it. But short summary in case you missed our previous videos or have been in the dark. Oh,
bless your heart.
You may need to sit down.
Yeah.
Dr. Disrespect publicly admitted to having inappropriate conversations with a minor. He knew that she was underage and pursued her anyway and was trying to meet up at TwitchCon. Mm-hmm. It's gross. It's a sickening story. And this coverage of it's thorough and extensive. So check that out if you want to.
Yeah, that's why it's like not fun to talk about.
If you want to be upset.
But the other big story that we've been following is, of course, the U.S. presidential debate. Now, unfortunately, it is happening. I mean, probably now it's happening, but we started filming well before it happened. And unfortunate timing.
These. Oh my God, did you see? Remember when Trump said this?
Remember when Biden mumbled through this? If there's anything worth posting by the time I'm editing this later tonight, I'm going to add 1 or 2 clips here.
Yeah.
No idea what these clips are. Hope you enjoy them. Here's 1 or 2. Maybe we'll talk about more during Weekly Weird News, but I don't know. Honestly, I think this is probably going to be pretty boring, but now we're going to do a hard cut to maybe a clip or 2.
Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. The reason I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. But by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie that he's a 6 handicap of all.
I was an 8 handicap.
Yeah.
8.
Never.
But I have,
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Okay, let's
not act like children.
President Trump, we're going to turn.
Let's not act like children.
Eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden.
Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
Wow, Trump is such a savage.
Wow, Trump really said some fucked up things.
Damn, those moderators fucking sucked.
Yeah, it seemed like they were not in control. Also,
wow, Trump, he ran out that microphone timer so many times, and they just let him do it.
Anyways, that's it. We will be back for Weekly Weird News very shortly. Please like the video, click the like button. It really helps our channel grow. Any kind of engagement, comments below, replies to comments. We love you very much for doing that. Obviously, no sponsors this week, so if you guys click the join button, we would very much appreciate it. It is not mandatory, but thank you to anyone who does click that join button and financially support the show. In the meantime, we have 2 new episodes. We got a whole episode of tech news. If you didn't get your AI fill with the Al Michaels story.
I don't know if you actually watched it, but there's a very funny, just accidental piece of comedy there at the beginning.
Oh, really?
Where we were talking about the Cybertruck that we saw on the way into work and describing how hideous it was. And there's a picture of that Elon Musk side profile shot.
Oh, yeah,
just
yeah.
very oddly shaped. And
Yeah.
our commentary, it's a great little double entendre.
There you go. So check out that episode. And we also, if for some reason you have been living under a rock and don't know everything that led up to this week's info about Dr. Disrespect, we have a video from earlier in the week on that. Check out both of those videos. We'll be back for Weekly Weird News. Stay tuned. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.